Welcome to the Heart Wide Open Wellness Podcast, where we explore therapy, Kundalini Yoga, and all things holistic wellness. I'm Hannah Zachney, LMFT, International Retreat Leader, and Curious Human. Whether you're tuning into us via social media or any of the major podcast platforms, we're so grateful to have you here. Here's to opening our hearts and exploring life together. Welcome to the Heart Wide Open Wellness Podcast. Today, we're super excited to be in our new location, which looks very similar to our old location if you've been keeping track of us, but we are in our podcasting room, and you can check that out on all of our socials to kind of see the progress out there. But I am doing my first podcast in this new space with Daylin Boyd, who has been working with me at Heart Wide Open for, over a year and a half. So
we're at a year and a half.
And it's been a pleasure. He's become a friend and a colleague, and I'm certain we're going to be doing many more things together over the next many years. We have also had the opportunity to do some yoga and music events where I bought a giant gong and don't know how to use my gong yet. So he comes in and does some gong bath when I do some Kundalini yoga. And we have mutual friends and just a lot of places that we've overlapped previous to this. But really, we've got to know each other through this process and been able to work together and to learn who each other are. So he is a fabulous therapist who gives his all to pretty much everything that he is doing. And he has a lot of fun on the side. So I will let him share a little bit about what that entails. And I will add to the things if you don't include some of them, because they're really good.
Okay. Sounds good.
But as his professional bio, Daylin Boyd is a mental health professional with a master's degree in counseling psychology and a master's degree in education. He has extensive educational and clinical experience working with individuals and families, specializing in trauma-informed care, anxiety, and relationship dynamics. Daylin has provided therapy in both community mental health and private practice settings, offering support across diverse populations. His approach blends trauma-informed holistic techniques with mindfulness and somatic strategies to promote lasting emotional resilience. And that's so beautiful. And I just will stress that, we do everything here holistically and trauma-informed. And all of those fusions, I think, are really so evident in the work that you've been doing, even more so and more so and more so. Like each time we talk, it's like, It's just more and more infused. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for
the invitation.
Yeah.
It sounds so good when you read that. I was like, who's here?
Right.
Oh, that's me. Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's nice to hear.
Good. It's good to suck that up every once in a while and really realize that's what
right.
I'm doing.
People are horrible at taking compliments and kind of they're recognizing their accolades, and it's one of those things that's like, oh, don't get a big head.
Yeah.
Or people get embarrassed.
Yeah.
Or people's negative voices automatically start combating. Oh, something good? Nope. Bad.
Yep.
And just to sit there and soak it in.
Look, you just took us right into thinking and therapy right there.
Yeah.
I listened to something on the way in today that was talking about humility. It just makes me think about your point that you just made about, the idea of humility is kind of misunderstood, and it gets in our way sometimes because we try to be so humble that we don't shine where we are meant to give our gifts. And so, of course, you can overshine. So there's always a balance and a spectrum with everything. But I think that's kind of there is a place to just be, here's my gifts and this is what I'm doing. So that's what we get to talk about today.
Sounds good to me. And I agree with you. One of those, I think what's a big deal with humility is it's okay to be competent. It's okay to help people. It's okay to use your talents so that they're visible to people around you, to your friends, family, public. And it's okay to get compliments. It's okay to do a good job. It's okay to recognize and go, oh, wow, I'm making it, or I'm doing it, or here were my goals and I'm succeeding.
Yeah.
That's part of the journey, is recognizing what's happening as you're doing it. And then understanding okay, I'm happy with what I've done. I'm happy to put my name on that.
Yeah.
And it's not about, oh, no, I don't need that. I don't need that. No, thank you. It's really, it's like if you don't let somebody share with you what they think of you, you're diminishing their experience.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
it's not just about you. It's also about the connection, how you've interacted with somebody, how you've helped a friend, what you're doing for them. They want to compliment you, or they want to say thank you. And so it's really important to be humble in that moment and accept it, feel gracious, so that you can connect with them.
Yeah. And don't you see clients needing that reassurance? They just come in so often, and when you express to them that it's okay to take up space, to receive, to take care of your own needs, it's interesting how just humanity, we need that reassurance sometimes, and we need to be reminded of this very often. It's funny that we're just starting with this because it's a really big thing that people need.
Right. Well, it's so huge because the first person that you get all this from is your parents.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens if you grow up in a household where you didn't get that from your parents? How does that skew your trailhead in life? Where you're abrasive, it's hard to receive people, it's hard to be around people, it's hard to do a good job or feel like you're doing a good job because you're not getting any recognition, you're not getting any positive feedback, whether or not you can accept it or actually it's being given to you. I think that's really important. And then for the folks that had good enough parents, and that's a really, I think, important thing to understand. No parent is perfect.
Yeah.
You could do the most perfect job and sit across from your kids, 25, and they're still going to complain about stuff you did. They're still going to pick apart what you did.
Yep.
So there's no perfect parent. You just have to be good enough. So for the folks that had good enough parents, what happens when they're done doing that job? What happens when you go off into adulthood and they're not there? They're not necessarily your everyday cheerleader.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happened? Your friends, maybe? Maybe connections that you make, maybe your partner. And what happens when that doesn't come through? Or you've pushed people away.
Yeah.
So
like needing that kind of reassurance along the way, needing that validation, needing, And if you never had it, like, how do you even know how to get it, receive it, let it in?
Exactly.
And then who do you lean on? And at the end of the day, I think there's some truth to just finding that within yourself, which can be a long or a short road, right?
I think more long than short, because that really affects your confidence in life, and just can set you up for a bunch of success or a bunch of oopsies.
Yeah.
And so I hear that.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Yeah. So you've been working with Heart Wide Open Wellness, doing trauma-informed care, doing brain spotting, doing family therapy, couples therapy. What is what are you loving working with right now?
Oh gosh. So every time I get that question, I kind of sound like, oh, I'm just going to grab everybody.
Yeah.
So I do like working with couples. I like working with individuals. Specifically, I like working with women and men, and I always try and have a different approach. Obviously, you should have an individual approach with every client.
Yeah.
But when you start to kind of like plot all of the data points on a graph, there's certain things that you can tell, like, oh, guys are missing a lot of this, like all of the confidence, all of somebody to rely on, who's their cheerleader, those types of things. So I love working with that population. I like working with trauma, and I like working with families, specifically when they're having problems with their kids.
Yeah, say more about that.
So when you're looking at attachment with families, so babies, they only have a couple things that's going on with them. They're crying, they're eating, sleeping, and pooping.
So simple.
So simple. But they don't have the language to tell you what their needs are. And for the most part, and I experienced this with my wife, and I've experienced this with my friends, moms become very attuned to what that cry means.
Yeah.
This is the hungry cry. This is the I'm wet, help me cry. This is the pick me up cry. And so people start to develop an attachment bond with their mother, typically first, and then with their father or caretakers. But somewhere along the way, sometimes things can get kind of wonky. They can get off. Parents can get busy. Maybe you've got both parents working, and you have a child that's been in daycare now from maybe 3 or 4. Maybe they've always been in daycare. Maybe the child has, that bond between the parents has kind of changed a little bit. And you start to have really big behaviors: running away, not listening to instructions, hitting, getting out of your car seat and running away.
Behaviors that start to get attention of the family because they become disruptive in many ways.
Yep. And then you get a bunch of parents that are like, I don't know how to handle this. And then you start to see it affect the other kids in the family, right? Because now you've got maybe a 4-year-old that's not doing well, not listening, kind of being a terror maybe at school, at preschool, hurting people. And then now they're hitting their younger sibling too. And and then parents kind of go, what is happening? So I love working with families that are having big behaviors, because it's so simple, but we don't inherently know what causes a connection with their children.
That probably sounds so relieving to anybody that's in that position, that you just said it's so simple. Yes.
So kids communicate and they discover their world, they explain the world all through play. Everybody wants to play. Think about it. I mean, most people go to work so they can afford to play.
Right. And ideally, we'd love to play while we work, right?
Right.
Most people.
Right. And we're really jealous of the people that play more than we do, right?
Yeah, right.
So kids discover their world through play, whether they've had trauma or whether they're upset. And as parents, when we get really busy, I mean, once our kids are now kind of like walking and talking and running around, and you can just put the food on the plate and then you can walk away and maybe take care of some dishes, you start to see some separation. And where the simple part is kids need to be played with by their parents. When your child enjoys playing with you, they're also going to be much better at following your instructions.
So what do you do with the parent who's like, I don't have time for that, or I never played myself, I don't know how to play? I mean, that's a big deal, right?
That is a big deal. So if they've never had that, I show them how to do it. And that's where you really create some attachment with the child.
Yeah.
Just
the willingness for the parent to learn too, especially in front of the child, probably that does so much healing, right?
It does. And one of the things, because when you do this type of work, you have the kid and the parent in session. So you're not trying to like, hey, I'm just working with the parent. You're working with the child too. And one of the things that's fascinating about therapy is when you work on a problem, subconsciously, people begin to work on their issues. So part of therapy and creating the connection with people, they get better because they're putting attention and focus on a problem. We don't talk about that enough. And so I'll see a 4-year-old that will start to play with mom, have a really great time, or dad, have a really great time. And then I'll say, looks like you were really enjoying playing with mom today. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then the parent's like, we never played like that before.
Yeah.
And one of the big mistakes I see is parents just ask questions. What's that? What do you want to do? How would you like to do this? Those questions tend to create disconnection because the child wants to get into their imagination.
Well, that lasts till teenage. I mean, that lasts forever, right? Sometimes being just like, isn't what
We just ask a ton of questions and we think that that's going to invoke conversation, invoke play. And what I try and do with parents is show them how to play in a different way, where they're describing, they're reflecting what children are saying. They're actually complimenting them on things that they're doing. It's amazing what happens when you start to describe what a child's doing instead of like, oh, what color is that?
Yeah.
Like, oh, looks like you're playing with the green toy. The child continues to play, and then all of a sudden you'll see kids interacting with their parents.
That's such a subtle difference that you just did too. And that's a good example of how it can be simple.
Yes. And one of the things I also work with parents on, because I had a client and I actually almost saw the light go in their head. They would come home and have a bad day because your child typically wears their emotions on their sleeve. They come, or they're exhausted and you're like, hey, what happened at school today? Which is the dreaded question. Nothing.
Yeah.
How was school? Good. Right. And so I was like, I can't get my child to talk to me. Well, are you standing in front of them like their teacher and their principal and asking them questions? Or are you sitting down and playing with them and just allowing them to decompress, regulate their emotions? Because parents co-regulate with their kids. If you're in a calm state, your child begins to calm. That's what we do when we were holding our babies. You know, they're crying, you put them here and you pat their back and you kind of bounce them a little bit, heartbeat to heartbeat, breath to breath. The child, after they've been crying for a while, you know, they do that type of a cry.
So sweet. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that child is learning to regulate based on your connection with them. Well, we need to do the same thing. It's kind of like instinctual to do it when we have our babies, but it's not instinctual to do it when they're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
And so sitting down
And sometimes even the opposite. Sometimes you get mad at them or stop it or turn away rather than come towards.
Oh, turn away. So damaging, right? And a lot of people don't even recognize when they turn away from their kids, especially with phones. And we don't need to go on phones. I mean, it's all over the internet. With
we all know they're not probably great for social connection.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's my gate. I've got my phone. You can't talk to me anymore. But when a child comes home, the first thing, obviously, they want a snack, and then you play with them. And then before you know it, they've regulated down. They feel great. Now they're in a safe place at home. And now they start talking.
Yeah.
Because you're playing with them side by side. And it's much better to play side by side with your child than head on.
Yeah.
Because that's confrontational.
Yeah.
Just kind of like when you're talking with friends.
Yeah.
We typically stand kind of like at a 45-degree angle from our friends.
Yeah.
And the only time you're really face to face is confrontation. And as parents, we're always confronting our kids head on.
Yeah. So you referenced, not standing in front of them or questioning them like a principal or a teacher. You actually have an educational background. So I think you bring a lot of wisdom to the table with that background. Could you just speak a little bit to the background that you do have? Because I think as a therapist, I think it's a career that benefits from life experience for sure. And just the wisdom of going through a few roles along the way. So yeah, could you just give us an idea of what's your path to get to the therapist role?
Okay, so I remember my senior year in high school, and I had a wonderful band program. So I was a band geek. And the situation happened where my teacher, who had an issue with their principal, stopped teaching. And we all wanted to play.
Yeah.
So I got up and I started waving the baton. I just looked at him and I'm like, I can do that. I can wave my hand.
Yeah.
I can count to 4.
Can't be that hard. Oh, got it.
And that experience, like, I want to be a teacher. Like, it was amazing working with my friends. I'm like, hey, let's do that section again. Oh, we're not together. Let's play that again.
Aww.
I was like, oh, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a music teacher. And so I went to school, got my bachelor's in education, music, and with an emphasis in education and performance and composition. And then got my teaching credential. And my very first gig was in West Contra Costa Unified in Hercules, Richmond, and San Pablo. And so that was a wonderful experience. And I taught for like the next 19 years and got into administration. And I started to recognize what it was like to interact with kids. One of the best things about being a teacher is if you really focus on it, you can stay a kid for much longer than most of us.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing with them, and I got to play with my class, you're playing with them all the time. Their energy, and that's one of the things, and just a side note, like if you pay attention to grandparents, they want to see their grandkids. They stop wanting to see us, right? They want to see the grandkids because it makes them feel young again.
Yeah.
They get to see that enjoyment, that exuberance. And that's the same thing when you're a teacher. You can play as much as you can figure out how to do that in your classroom. And so I kind of learned how to interact with kids, how to interact with, teenagers, primary kids, preschool kids, and working with families. And so then getting into administration and working with families and kids when they're dealing with their problems, my favorite thing to do. Parents coming in, I've got a problem with my child. This is what's happening at home. Okay, let's do that. Let's figure it out. So-and-so's bullying me, figuring out those situations and trying to help.
This is definitely laying the groundwork for doing therapy for sure, and specifically family therapy or kid therapy for sure.
Doing paperwork, not so fun.
I believe that.
Running, meetings,
not
so fun. Helping people with their problems, I could get behind that. And then I'm like, oh, there's a job that does that full time.
Yeah.
And I really loved working with some of the, well, not some, I really loved working with all of the therapists that were at my schools.
Wow, that's great. So you had an introduction to that field
Yep.
in another way.
Right. Through IEPs, SSTs, problems with children, giving referrals, communicating, getting releases of information so I could actually talk with a therapist. I really valued that experience. And then when it came time for me I wanted to pivot, like, oh, there's a job that does that full time.
Yeah.
And so here I am.
And I can see that infusing how you're approached because you have a full systems approach. So, and then you've also had experience successfully and positively where you had, whoever's involved in the IEP or everybody who is supportive of the situation, that is a part of your now approach too, is, how can we look at all of the pieces and get all of the support that we can have in place and really set up the scenario so that it's high likelihood of maintaining the success that you achieve.
I agree with you. And that is one of the biggest, like, consistency, setting up a system so that parents can maintain it. Setting up a system for a child so that they can maintain their emotion regulation. Because how many times do we try and we work on something and then it falls off to the wayside?
Yeah.
So, you have to change the system for something to remain consistent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And educating people on that or giving them the awareness of that, I think it also is useful because if you don't know that as clearly and then you start to struggle, it's easy to do self-blame or think that it's hopeless, it's never going to change when actually it's creating the container to support.
Right. And back to your original question, the parents that don't want to do that or don't understand what you're trying to do, I will often say, give me 6 weeks. Let's try it a different way because what you're doing hasn't been working, right?
Yeah.
No, it's not been working. You're here because you want to try something different.
Yeah.
Just recognize that you're struggling.
Yep.
And in this situation, your defenses are coming up.
Yeah.
You're okay. You're going to be okay. Let's do this together. I'm not going to just tell you you're doing everything wrong. I'm going to use all of the strengths you already have, and then we're going to fine tune some things.
Yeah, I'm going to take this down this road real quick because when defenses come up, I used to tease in this job that I'm kind of a professional bullshit detector, right? That's it's kind of what you're doing, right? You're listening to somebody so intently that you're like, yeah. And then when they have that piece where they might be not being honest with themselves or not being honest with another, and they're just, that's kind of a part of what we do. We do a lot of things, but that's part of what we do is to ask questions around that area so that maybe they can see a blind spot, right? See something that they're not able to see.
Because some people have their stories that are confusing what's actually happening.
Yes.
They I do this. Well, actually, if I had a camera and we could record what you're actually doing, I think you would see something different.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So helping people become aware.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, the bullshit artists, they don't know they're doing it sometimes.
Most all the time, and especially if they're in therapy, because they're trying to do the best that they can. They're like, I'm here to really work on myself.
Right.
Yet so how do you disarm somebody who might be defensive? Because I think this is a very relatable human defense. I mean, we just are automatically defensive sometimes, not everybody, but it's a very common place to go.
The one, you have to create connection. And that's super important. And just a side note, when you're in therapy, you should enjoy your therapist.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to be talking,
that therapeutic fit and alignment is so important.
You're going to be talking about difficult things. So you want to do it with somebody that you trust and that you like. And it's okay to like your therapist. Yeah. And enjoy going there.
It's a real relationship. It's got structure, but it's a real relationship.
Right. So one of the ways that I disarm somebody after I've created a connection, and I try and use humor so they know that I'm a real person. I try not to be clinical. Yeah. Well, let's take a, no. Yeah. The big box insurance companies, they can do that thing. This is about creating connections with people. I will ask, so after I've created that, I'll ask them, can I challenge you? is it okay if I challenge you when I see something difficult coming up? Yeah. They always say yes.
Yeah.
And then before I do it, I'm like, hey, I noticed something. Can I be difficult with you?
Mhm.
Can I poke at you?
Yeah.
And I will use those phrases like, hey, can I poke at you real
Yeah.
quick?
It's helpful
And they'll
because
go,
then they're,
oh, okay.
yeah, okay.
Because you want them to get out of their script. You want them to get out of their pattern. Because we're all about patterns. Humans
And
are
then
about
their
patterns.
ears open up because, like,
Yep.
what is he about to say? Yeah.
Right.
What am I going to get now?
Yep.
Mhm.
What did Daylin notice?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I get much better response when I ask, hey, I think I need to challenge you right now. You
Mhm.
ready for this?
Mhm.
And they're like, okay. And you know, they might disagree with me.
Yeah.
But I get a much better
Mhm.
opportunity for them to actually hear what I'm saying and try it on.
Mhm.
And you know, that's the thing. It's like you might not agree with me, but try it on.
Well, and sometimes I'm sure this happens for you. For me, in the past, it's happened where they may not agree with you. Not that they need to agree with you, but it might not open anything. You know, they might not be able to access whatever it is that's available in that question in the moment, but they will think about it and they might come back later saying, you know what, I thought about that and I don't agree with this part, but this is where it led me, and
Yep.
this is very useful to be able to access a new place, a new angle on something.
Absolutely. So an interesting story. So I'm meeting with a couple, and the husband is very protective of his wife,
Mhm.
and I'm just asking questions on the wife,
Uh-huh.
and he got really protective.
Yeah.
Didn't say anything, but came in the next time and said, "I just wanted you to know I was angry at you,
Yeah.
and I was feeling protective. I felt like you were picking on my wife." Okay. Then I asked her, well, how'd you feel? No, I just, and then it's something where that person got protective. And then what I found out was they would have a breakthrough every time they would get frustrated with me
Yeah.
in session. Because that anger, that uncomfortableness caused them to get out of their comfort zone and handle something.
That is such a beautiful example too of how sometimes just having that third person involved in a relationship where they can, like, you can just hold all of that. They can be angry at you and bring the anger into the room when maybe they're not able to do that just themselves.
Right.
I mean, there's so many aspects that a therapist helps with the therapeutic alignment of a couple.
Exactly. And then because we're always like grabbing tools. And then after that, I would start, maybe asking some questions. And then I would turn and go like, let me know if I'm overstepping.
Yeah.
Because if somebody they hold back or they're maybe a little passive aggressive sometimes, I give them permission to change their routine, to change their pattern. And then it's really good to use humor.
Yeah. You have a fun sense of humor. You're one of those guys that, like, once you get to know you, so I can only imagine. Like, I'm sure it's like your clients are probably like, you've got a lot of like little sidebar personal
Try
jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Humor is so important.
Yeah. And you're playful. You're certainly playful. So give us kind of an overview of some of the hobbies that you do in your life, because they're fun.
I love to play music because I started as a band geek, and I've played in bands throughout the years, and so I play in a couple bands here in the area. I love to line dance.
Yep.
My daughter actually asked me out on a daddy date,
Aw.
and so I was like, moved my entire calendar.
Of
I'm
course.
like, yes, and we went out, we line dance, and she'll teach me stuff in the family room. YouTube is great for learning how to dance, by the way. You can do it privately without stepping on anybody else's feet. I love to get on a boat, love to wakeboard, love to get out into the forest and ride side by sides or camp. I love to do that. I think I'm a geek at heart, so I will do role playing games with my nieces, nephews, my son, and I also like to bring that into therapy as well. I think getting kids to role play and put on a persona of somebody who's confident, put on a persona of somebody who can handle problems. Once you get them out of their routine and they're playing a part, they can see, oh, that's how I can handle it for myself.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important.
Well, it's like a physical act as if, right? It's like a visualization, but in physical form.
Yep. So, and then I love yoga. I love working out. I love sports. I play racquetball, volleyball. I think it's important to be active. I like to swim. This morning I hit the pool. Got
That's
in
great.
got in about 30 minutes. Yeah, I just got to be active. Health has got to be priority. So I try
Yeah.
and make everything fun that I'm doing.
I think that book brings so much availability to the work that you do, that you take care of yourself at that capacity. And how important is that for the people that you work with? Do you recognize some of the people struggling who don't have all those hobbies? And I'm such a big self-care fan, as
Yep.
you know. So
Yep. So here's the funny thing is for anybody that's not a therapist, I could put two people in front of them and we could just start talking and everybody can pick the person who's overwhelmed and not taking care of themselves. It does not take a degree to
no.
figure out
No.
who is drowning,
Uh-huh.
who is overwhelmed, who is exhausted and just wants to hit the stop button. So I see that all the time. And that's the first thing. I kind of have like, in my mind, I have this pyramid, this foundation. First, there's always sleep. And somebody who's overwhelmed isn't getting good sleep.
No, it's true.
Somebody who's stressed isn't getting good sleep. And then self-care. Self-care is kind of like, oh, self-care, I heard that word again. But it's like, why are you doing everything? Well, why do we work so hard? Why are we trying to make sure our families are doing okay? Because we want to enjoy them. We want to be in the moment. We want to take our families and do fun things on the weekends. We want to have nice dinners with our kids. We want to go out and have fun with our family. And if you're swamped and you feel like you're just trying to survive, that is a recipe. I mean, we have to do that sometimes. We have to put our head down and work really, really hard.
There's seasons, for sure.
Right. But if you're always in survival mode, you're not enjoying life.
Well, and I think it's unrealistic to say that you can, be stressed out until 5 p.m. on Friday and then just switch gears completely. Like it just doesn't work that way, right? Like you have to have the balance throughout the week to be able to enjoy that weekend. Otherwise, you're going to be just barely recovering or just working right through it or
Right.
doing some version of something.
Well, and I want to challenge that also. I don't think we should only live for the weekend either. And I'm not saying you're saying that.
No, I'm not. In
'Cause
fact, I'm not. I'm saying
yeah.
the opposite. Yes.
It's like, what would it be like to have fun 7 days a week?
Yeah, right.
Now, you don't have to have fun, 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
But when you're off work, when do you cut yourself off and stop working?
Yeah.
Even if you've got more to do.
Yeah.
Especially for folks that have their own business, we can get really stuck in just working 14, 16-hour days.
True.
When do you draw your own boundary? When do you stop working so that you can focus on enjoying what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, and even if you love what you do, balance and variety and different hobbies is very great. So, we can also get one-dimensional with one thing where, well, I love this, so I'm going to do it all the time. But that over time, that needs to be probably offset with some other things. What are some of your favorite moments that you see clients, like what are your favorite things to see clients overcome or take away? Like what are the moments when you're like, I love what I do. Like this feels so good.
So, and this is going to maybe sound mean, but when people get really emotional, even guys, they will tear up in session and they will come to a realization like, that is so different. I had no idea that was happening for me. Or I was struggling so much with this. And then you see them get emotional and then they come back and they've worked through something. And they're like, thank you so much. That feels so different now. Or I was able to handle this situation. As an example, I had a client going through life and they're like, if I died, I'd be okay. They not suicide, right? Just not loving life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm ready.
Detached.
Going through the motions. And then one day they were like, I'm enjoying my job. I'm enjoying life right now. I no longer feel that way.
Yeah.
And that was amazing.
Yeah. Seeing the contrast from this extreme to contentment.
Yep. I think that's really important. Seeing people smile. Oftentimes when people feel better, they're able to express that they feel better. That's like an acceptable emotion to share most of the time. And so when you get that always feels really good.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. People getting emotional, I think, is huge. And I try to do it. I try to get people to get to their emotions. So there's a lot of really interesting studies and a really fantastic book by Bessel van der Kolk called The Body Keeps
One
the
of my
Score.
favorites. Yep.
And he also put together a really interesting training. And what he talked about is that people, trauma is really, it affects emotions, shuts people down. It causes people to avoid feeling anything dangerous, dangerous emotions, fear, sadness, terror, whatever that is. But when you shut those things down, you shut down everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't
You
just
can't selectively feel joy and turn off sadness. That doesn't work that way.
Right. And so getting people to be in touch with their emotions, I think, is really important.
Yeah.
And some people just don't have the language for it. They've been shut off for so long. I love working with couples where you've got the guy, and this is like a stereotypical situation, not able to talk about their emotions, and then you've got the wife like, they don't talk to me, they don't share what's going on, and the man is like, well, I'm afraid to share my emotions because if I do, I'm going to look weak, or you're going to think differently of me. I've got to hold the line. I've got to keep everything together. But they also don't have the language for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't even know how to feel emotions, where that's at in their body. Men are really good at expressing anger. We're taught that's the acceptable emotion.
Yeah. Society is stamped that one okay for some reason, which it's,
Well, but anger is a protective emotion. So anger's great. Anger's great. You can solve a lot of problems with anger.
You can.
And
it has the illusion of movement. So it feels like you're doing something rather than being just passive, right?
Well, yes and no. So anger also is a motivational factor, because let's say that you did something wrong at work and you get angry at yourself, you're motivated to do it better the next time.
Yeah.
So anger does have that, but sometimes you're pointing your anger weapon in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And then
it could go both ways for sure.
It can go both ways.
Yeah.
And so because anger is a secondary emotion, guys often feel that and they skip every emotion that got them to anger. I felt betrayed by my wife. I felt betrayed by my best friend. I felt insignificant. I felt embarrassed. Go right to anger. I felt disrespected, and nobody likes those emotions.
No, unprepared, inadequate, unavailable. Any word. Yeah.
Right? So then we go to anger to protect ourselves. We don't want to be hurt by our spouse. We don't want to be hurt by our partner. We don't want to be hurt by the people at work. And so we use anger to push people away and keep people distant, because an angry bear, nobody's going around.
Yeah.
Leave the angry bear alone.
Yeah.
And as a guy, we use that tool often.
Yeah.
And so the goal is, anger's good. We can use that, but let's go deeper. Let's figure out what's causing the anger.
Yeah. I just love that you're so available to go to these places. And, and I've witnessed you working with, many people in our community, and some of the feedback I get, which I absolutely love, is that, equally men and women really feel safe in your presence, and couples, but individually, it's not one or the other, that you tend to be like, oh, he works with mostly men or he works with mostly women. Although, I think you understand the difference, and there might be a time where you chose to work with one or the other for like a group or something that you were doing, but like they all really do feel very safe in your presence. And I think that is, for many reasons, but I think it's part of what you're speaking to right now, is that you're comfortable getting the emotions and the deeper level and understanding why either a male or a female or just an individual might be resistant of going in there.
Absolutely. And this goes back to my teaching profession. Predominantly, it's a field for women. At least it was. There's more men getting into teaching now, which I love.
Yeah, that's true.
But I had 19 years of really learning to work with women.
Yeah.
There were many times there was only like maybe 2 guys at the school, and one was the custodian.
Yeah.
Or maybe the principal was a guy.
Yeah.
And, or maybe a PE teacher.
Yeah.
And so
the coach
or a coach.
Yeah.
And so that environment really lends itself to like just communicating and really understanding women, which I think for some people that have, they work in an environment where it's a good mix, they're really blessed, actually.
Yeah.
Because I've worked in environments where it's all men.
Yeah.
It's kind of a little testosterone filled environment where everybody's, using anger to solve their problems.
Yeah.
You can't do that in a school environment. So I've been lucky enough to kind of be in both worlds.
Yeah.
And being a guy, I kind of understand a couple things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, that's great. So I know we could go, we will definitely do this again because there's so many angles on therapy and just working with people and just life in general that we could talk about. How have you seen, I have just a couple more questions for you. How have you seen just working with other people and being vulnerable? How has it changed you? How does it impact you and your growth as a human?
I think I like that question, and it goes back to another question. It's like, why do you get into therapy?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of therapists recognize that they don't feel as good as they could, whether they've had a trauma themselves, whether they've had, a really hard road, or whether or not something's not working in their life. And I think we all come to this profession trying to find answers for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I think I'm always trying to work on how do I improve myself?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that I'm seeing I could do better?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really, I think, the pivotal piece. And maybe I missed some of the question, but for me, it's about, I want to understand how I can be a better human being. And so like one of the things I love about working at Heart Wide Open is my definition of that is to be able to open and grow, because we can close ourselves off to the world, because the world can be really harsh. People can be really angry and harsh. Mm-hmm. But if you close yourself off to protect yourself, you're not growing. Mm-hmm. And so you really have to come in and just like open up. Mm-hmm. And I'm not the best at anything. I've got tons of room to grow. I've got tons of ways I can improve. I can always improve my relationships. I can always do a better job. I can and be humble. I can recognize that I've got so many things I can still learn and do. And I think that's, for me, that's pivotal.
Yeah. Well, that was my next question is how do you live with your heart wide open? So there you go. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today and for being part of the team. We're so lucky to have you and helping so many people.
You're welcome. It's great working here. I love it.
Perfect. Anything left unsaid, or you feel complete with what you're able to offer today?
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep. I feel great about everything that we talked about, and I'd love to be able to help anybody.
Yeah.
If they've got any questions, they want to go into a deep dive.
Yep.
I love talking about this. I can talk about it all day.
Yeah. Perfect. I could too. So we will make sure that they are able to access you. If anybody is interested, we will have all of the details, always heartwideopenwellness.com. And we'll make sure we have specific access to Daylin to move forward. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Heart Wide Open Wellness Podcast. We appreciate your time, energy, and attention. Whether you're watching or listening, please remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Stay up to date with us at heartwideopenwellness.com so you don't miss any upcoming events, offerings, or retreats. Until next time, keep your heart wide open.